Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Laura Hill podcast. I am Laura Hill, and I am really excited about who I'm talking to today. So, if you've listened to my podcast before, I interviewed Alex Walker right at the beginning of my podcast. I think he's episode 3 or 2. And he kept talking about Grace Long. Grace works for Alex and she is amazing. And I know her through Alex, and Alex just raves about her. So I had to get her on the podcast. So, hi, Grace. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi Laura, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here chatting with you. It's just, really excited.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And I don't want to give too much away because I want you to tell everybody your story. But like I said before we started recording, we always see people at the end of their success journey, and we're always kind of left wondering how they did it. And you're right in the middle of it now. So this is going to be such an amazing, real time how to for people, like how to be successful. And then when you're mega successful, we will have documented this journey, which is going to be amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank
So
you.
I want to start with your journey so far. Give us an intro and tell us why you got into hairdressing and what you've been up to.
Gosh, so I started working in a hair salon from the age of 14 as a little Saturday girl. To be honest with you, I never really wanted to be a hairdresser. I actually wanted to be an archaeologist as a child. I used to go down to the beach and crack open rocks and do all of those things, but then I got a little Saturday girl job and fell in love with it. So I started from there, and then I got a apprenticeship at the age of 15, and I worked full time, and then I qualified at the age of 18. I've got to say, the apprenticeship was hard. You know what it's like. You are the backbone of the salon, doing all the jobs you don't want to do, but it was such an amazing experience to learn. And then as soon as I qualified, I actually got headhunted by Alex and offered a job to go and work at Caboodles, which was amazing. I can remember speaking to my mum after I qualified, thinking, I just don't feel like I want to move. I want to go somewhere that's got stuff that's more exciting. And I was looking at local salons in my area and I saw Caboodles. I was like, oh, that looks like the it salon, the place I want to go. And then literally a couple of weeks later, I got a message off of my hair page and they'd offered me a job as a graduate stylist there. It was just amazing to be like, oh my God, I'm going to be working there. And it was such a good experience working in that salon it was about 3 years, because I was literally just qualified and I didn't really have a client base, so I was still learning. And it just gave me such an amazing space to learn from so many incredible hairdressers, and also to build up my own skill and confidence, because I was a really anxious person. I was so scared to do anything wrong, but to grow and be in that environment was really helpful. It was so good. And then obviously the salon itself shut down, and it would be nearly 2 years in August now, I took the leap of going self-employed with Alex in a little salon across the road, which is beautiful. I love it there. You've been and seen the salon yourself. You've had some cake and coffee there, got very good coffee. But yeah, it's just been an amazing journey to be able to go from being a little Saturday girl to now being self-employed, freelance, working for myself and working in a salon with Alex, where he's such a good mentor. I never would have thought my journey would be where I am now, to be fair. But yeah, now I'm just working behind the chair, living my best life and grafting. There's a lot of grafting.
Yeah. So I really want to there's a few things in there I want to pick up on. So where are you from? Because I talked to Norman on another podcast, and Norman was like, well, I always say to people, if you want to be successful and get great opportunities in hairdressing, really you need to move to London. But you're not in London, are you? Where are you?
No, I'm in a little town called Torquay, in Devon. It's about an hour away from Cornwall. That's kind of the best way to describe it. Um, Little seaside town. There's not loads going on here, but we've got the beach, and I'm really outdoorsy, so I love it. But yeah, you definitely, I don't think you need to be in the big city to make it. You've just got to put yourself in the right situation.
Yeah, which is what you did. So Alex he's an amazing cutting specialist, isn't
Yeah.
he?
Always, yeah.
And you do cutting and colouring, don't you?
Yes,
So do you do a lot of the colouring for Alex in the
I
salon?
do. Yeah, so we work really well in the sense of I'll do a lot of his colour clients and then he'll do the cuts for them. So we've got a really nice setup in the sense of like if there's big colour work, I'll do it for him. And I tend to just watch him when I have free time as well. He's only in the salon like Thursday and Friday because he's so busy with his education around the country. But when he's actually in the salon, I'll try and watch and learn as much as I can, really, which is so good because even from just him being there for 2 days, I've picked up so much in terms of like perfecting my own skill, which I love. Like, I love learning and constantly trying to be better.
Yeah, that is a really good piece of advice, actually, that if you're not quiet, but if you're able to just
Mm,
watch the people around you and learn from them, especially
yeah.
if you're working with someone like Alex. So, also, how old are you? Because you're self-employed, like that's a big leap.
I'm 23.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Was that
thank
scary
you.
going self-employed?
Terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying because we didn't have that long in between like the business shutting down and making that decision, but it really came at such a good time in my life because I mean, I've been through a lot in the sense of we had lockdown and during lockdown my mum had passed away, so I had a lot of that going on as well and all of that side of stuff. But it came at a time in my life where I was so ready for that change and something different. And I can remember speaking to my partner's mum and just being like, oh my God, I'm so scared. What if I have no clients and I have no money? And she just reassured me. She's like, just do it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And I'm so glad I did because I'm so much more passionate about my job now than I was when I was employed. I think when you're in an employed salon and you've got that security of your monthly wage, you can kind of fall into this little bit of a lull where you're kind of like, oh, I get paid whether I've got clients or not, which is not the best mindset, but it definitely like happened to me while I was there. And I felt like I'd lost that little bit of that sparkle and that like real love for what I was doing. But as soon as I went freelance, it was like, right, you got to get yourself in education, you got to keep your skills getting better, like improving constantly, because I just want to do the best that I can for my clients. But yeah, it was terrifying, but I'm so glad that I did it. It's the best
That's
thing I've
amazing.
ever done.
Yeah, that is amazing. That is amazing. And yeah, that's such a cool thing, that sort of like responsibility that you've taken on at quite a young age. Because basically, if you're self-employed, you're a business owner. You
Yeah.
own the Grace Long hairdressing, whatever it turns into. Like that is a young age to take on a business, and it's amazing that you've done it. Do you have any advice for anybody who would like to go self-employed and is a bit frightened to take the jump?
That's a really good question. I think definitely going and finding people who have done it already and speaking to them. I think surrounding yourself with the right people at that time is so, so essential because it is such a huge change. You kind of, when you're employed, you go from working 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are to self-employment, and it's, you know what it's like. It's 24/7 really. you know it's a lot of responsibility, but I think if you are willing to, it depends what's important to you. If that time and that freedom and having the ability to be able to work how you want, just go for it. I think you've got to just take that leap and do it. Speak to people who've done it already, research it yourself, figure out like all of the ins and outs of how to run a business, because that's the other thing. You don't get taught any of this in school. Like, you don't get taught about tax returns or accountants, and that was stuff that I was quite stressed about at first, but luckily I had Alex, who has run businesses for all those years, so I'm like, what do I do? And he's like pointing me in the right way. So I think having somebody there to ask for advice in that time is really important, but at the end of the day, it's down to you, and you've just got to just do it. And a thing I like to sort of live by is kind of like this little saying, and it's like, feel the fear and do it anyway, because otherwise you just don't progress.
So good. That's so good. I did a course once with this guy called Simon. Oh my God, I've forgotten his name. I'll remember it in a minute. But he did this course on presenting, and he said fear is like a tiger. So when you feel the fear coming, it's like the tiger is approaching, and you have two choices. You let the tiger eat you, or you jump on the back of it and you ride the tiger. Feel the fear and do it anyway. But I imagine myself riding a tiger.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Simon Shaw. If anybody is listening and wants an amazing mentor for presenting, Simon Shaw, now that I've remembered that.
I'm checking out.
So I would love to talk about the other side of the work you do, because you are an amazing self-employed hairdresser, but you are also doing a lot with Alex with education, aren't you? So tell me about that. How did that start, and what does it look like?
It all started really from me just saying, can I come along? It's like when he was doing his courses. He initially obviously started doing his freelance education, and we worked quite closely with the product brand that we use in the salon. So he had quite a few education dates that he was doing. And I just asked, can I come and assist? I take it unpaid. I just want to come and assist and learn, and just put myself in those scenarios as much as physically possible. Even if it meant that I wasn't getting paid for the day, I just wanted to go and show people like I'm willing to show up, and I'll do the work and learn from it, really. And that's brought along so many amazing opportunities, in the sense of now I make like content creation for the brand that we use in salon. So I do like reels. Alex and I recently went to Bologna in Italy for Cosmoprof, and we got to spend time with the brand, and we got to be in a meeting finding out all their like top secret new products and all those sorts of things. But it is definitely about just putting yourself in those situations, whether you are kind of going to get maybe something physical like money or whatever out of it, but just showing up and being consistent with it, I think, is key for sure.
That's so good. So first, I suppose, that's surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
How did you choose Alex as a mentor? Did you know about him before you went to Caboodles, or was it because of Caboodles?
I probably knew about him a little bit. Like, obviously I knew he ran Caboodles before I started working there. But once I started working with him in the salon, and I saw how like good of a haircutter he was and how amazing he was at teaching, I sort of was gravitated towards him because of that. And like whenever I would have time in the salon, if I was free, I'd stand and watch him cut hair and all of those sorts of things. And once like the business closed down, I just thought, I don't want to go anywhere else. I'm like I say, I'm a bit of an anxious person at times. I didn't want to go into a new salon and have to start that process again of having to find my place and get to know loads of new people, and maybe not feel like I fit in there. Whereas with Alex, it felt like safe, and I felt like supported there, and I knew he'd look after me going across the road with him. So yeah, I just was also, he's such an inspiring person to be around. Like, he's always got like 1,000,001 projects going. He's like got so much going for him in the sense of his education. So to be around somebody that's got that much want and drive, I think, is really inspiring. Like, he comes into the salon on a Thursday and he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, or I've got that booked, and I'm like, Amazing. Can I come along?
And that's another really important thing that you've said is you have to ask. Like you have to put yourself in those situations and try and get those opportunities, don't you? And was it the same with the brands? Did you ask to do the content creation? How did that work out with the brands?
To be fair, that kind of came along on its own after we'd sort of initiated that Alex was going to be doing some more education for them and using the product. We all had a meeting together and they sort of put it out to me that they wanted me to start making some content creation because I try to be as consistent as possible with Instagram and socials and reels, things like that. And they noticed it and then really liked it. So they asked if I could do some content creation. I was like, yeah, of course. You do it anyways. I've got fancy ring light and all those things now, like constantly seeing what new gadgets I can get. But that came from them approaching me, which was amazing.
That is amazing, isn't it?
Mm.
So, can I ask you like your secrets with that as well? So, what does consistency with social media look like for you? And like obviously like tips you can give people who maybe are struggling with it.
I've got to say, like it is another job in itself, like running social media. But I think you've got to find your own niche with it and find what you love, because people love it when you're authentic and you show that sort of side to you. I find having a good light definitely helps. Like I've got like one of these here. It's like £30 on Amazon. Just little tools that can make it as easy as possible for you, like a tripod stand, and also not being too hard on yourself. Like I've done it so many times where I've edited a reel or I've created some content and you end up picking it apart to nothing and then not posting it, and it sits there in your drafts for weeks. Just post it. Just get it out there. Just be consistent. Like, you've got to just do it. I think as long as what you're posting is like, depending on what you're looking at posting for, whether it's to gain more clients or to educate hairdressers, whatever it may be, or to show off a product, I think you've just got to like get your point across. And like Instagram algorithm is always changing. Like at the moment, Instagram really favors your videos if you've got captions in the video. You've got long captions in the paragraphs, things like that. So it's kind of learning what it wants, but also sticking to your niche and posting what you want to attract as well. 100%, I find is really helpful.
That's such good advice, Grace. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
How often are you posting?
Oh gosh, it's terrible. I do really try and post about 3 or 4 times a week minimum. My goal is to get back onto it and start posting at least 5 times. But life just, it gets in the way. I'm in the process of buying a house at the moment, so my brain's full of so many things. But yeah, I'm probably posting minimum 3 times a week and aiming for at least 5. Because that's the other thing. It's as long as you're consistent with it, like that's really key. Like Alex himself, like he's been posting like every day for the last few months, and his page is like blown up. So it's all about being consistent, but also sticking to a consistency that you can keep up with, because there's no point in you saying, oh, I'll post 7 times a week and or 3 times a day, and it sort of working for 2 days and you kind of come off it, because then your algorithm gets all messed up. So just find a program that works for you, stay consistent with it, and go from there.
That's such good advice. That is such good advice. And it is like another job, isn't it? Like it can take me an hour to do one reel, like to find the right sticker, to find the right music, to put all the videos together, to write the captions. It can take ages. And I think that's one of the things that I've struggled with the most is the time that it takes. So what do you have any hacks for that? Are there anything you're doing that makes it faster?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, at the moment, currently, the Instagram algorithm, I did a course about a month ago now. The Instagram algorithm, like I say, is favouring shorter videos with captions on them. So they don't have to be really long. You can make your videos 7 seconds long, they sort of say between 4 to 7 seconds with a punchy caption on the video and then a big old paragraph in the bottom. And if you're trying to attract, say, like, for instance, like more clients, make sure that you're using the similar sort of keywords in your paragraph, like down below in your caption. So like balayage or blondes, lived in, all those sorts of things. You just want to make sure that when you're posting, you're staying consistent in the captions you're writing below and using that consistently. But in terms of the videos, they don't have to be really long. Like, you can literally make it 7 seconds, and the shorter it is, the more views you get, the more like Instagram boosts that video, all of those sorts of things. Like, I've got one video on my page that's got, I think, something like 30,000 views, and it's just got a caption saying, "Are you making this mistake washing your hair?" And then it's just a big paragraph about towel drying your hair before you condition, and like that really hit off. So it just goes to show you don't have to do anything big or fancy, because our attention spans aren't that great anymore. Like, people go on TikTok. I have clients sat in my chair and they're just swiping like so quickly. So just got to kind of keep up with short, punchy captions. That's what it's all about.
I love that. Is such great. I have not heard that advice at all, Grace. That is such
Give it a
great
go.
advice. Yeah. So 7 seconds and then just a really punchy hook, isn't it? Like something that makes people go,
Yeah,
"Oh, I want to read more."
yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. And do you write your own captions or do you use Chat GPT? If you use that at all?
I have used ChatGPT, yes. I kind of tend to like vary it a little bit. I will, if I'm like really tired and I've had a really long day, I'll use ChatGPT. I love it. It's so good. Like, it's scary how good it is. But then I also do write my own captions as well, depending on how much brain power I've got left at the end of a busy day.
Yeah. That's a good tip, isn't it?
Mm.
I don't think enough people are embracing ChatGPT at the moment, and it is a real. I think it's hard talking to it. I think once you first start, you ask it to do something, and it seems a bit robotic. So
Yeah.
it comes across like you're talking to AI. So it's trying to get it to sound like you is the trick.
Yeah, I find the really good keys with using ChatGPT. I'll say, write me a caption for clients aged 25 to 40, written by a 23-year-old hairdresser in the UK about, like, you just have to be so specific with it and it will make it sound like you, and then just tweak it so it sounds a bit more like you. That's what I tend to do. But the more
That's
specific you are, the better it is.
that's such great advice. Great advice. I love that.
Okay.
That's going to be so helpful for people. Can I ask what the course was that you did? You can recommend
Yeah,
it to
so
anyone.
it was with a really amazing lady. Her Instagram handle is Adele Catherine Balayage. And she helps hairdressers in the sense of building their profile on Instagram and how to grow. And she also is a lived-in colour specialist. I'll find her handle and I'll send it over to you so you can share it if you want to. But she did a online webinar for it was really like not too expensive either, and it was a couple of hours long, and you just got so many little golden nuggets of how to use social media and all those things. But things like that are really helpful.
That's so good. That's so good. Thank you so much. So I really want to talk about a bit more about the work that you do with the brand. What's the brand that you work with?
So I work with Davro. They're an Australian vegan haircare brand. I love their products. It's so good.
That's amazing. How are you working with them? Are you working with them with colour? Are you working with them with products? Like, what's the kind of content that brands are looking for from creators? Like, what are you making?
So currently Davro is only a product company. So they've got their shampoos, treatment ranges, styling products. And they've just released like a texture spray. So whenever they've got a new product that's launching, they'll send it to me and I will go through and make them a reel of me using it on myself or on a client. I also do content creation. They've got a really incredible curly hair range that's just won an award for it. And I did a video of me using it on my own hair in the salon. I had a gap throughout my day. I thought I'll just make a little video of me using the curly girl method on my hair using these products, and a lot of it is me using products either on myself or on clients in the salon, things like that really.
Thank you so much. That's such a good tip. Right, so I want to change gear a little bit and talk about your motivation and your goals. Like, what drives you? Because, I mean, if you think about it, you're a 23-year-old who's buying a house, who owns her own business, and who is working for brands. So, what is it that drives you? What's the good advice for people?
I think I'm just obsessed with it. It's really hard to say. I just love what I do. When I first started hairdressing, I never realised there was this entire other world to it, in the sense of working for brands, being your own boss. And I'm also addicted to making my clients happy. Like, I really love that buzz of finishing a day's work and being like, I really did a good job there. They were so happy with their hair. It is quite an addictive thing. I think also it's just keeping yourself inspired. So like, I'm on platform like Tom Lahane's platform. I'm subscribed to multiple different education pages on Instagram. Connor James Maynard, I've got his his education platform. I am Boho Blonde, things like that. And I think I've just got that hunger to constantly try and be better and improve, because we can always learn. There's always areas that I want to try and improve myself by. So I think motivation is just trying to just be the best that I can possibly be, and it feels like it's just starting. And also I want to be able to like enjoy my life and go on nice holidays, things like that. But also I'm just addicted to my job. It's probably a little bit unhealthy at this point, because I'll be up editing reels at 10 o'clock at night, but I really do love it.
That's amazing. Do you know, so I talked to Don on my last podcast, and he used that word obsessed. And we always hear the word passion, don't we? Like, I'm really passionate, I'm really passionate. I feel like obsession does take it to a next level. And it's so interesting to hear you say it, because you've done so much and you've got so far, and that is what it takes, that it does take an obsession.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So do you do any like year plans or goal setting or manifesting or anything like that?
I probably wouldn't say I'm that organised enough to do like a year plan, but I definitely have got goals. I want to definitely look at maybe one day going into the side of education and colour education. I mean, you're a big inspiration for me, Laura. I look at what you're doing and think that's the dream. And also I think as well, like I said before, just constantly trying to improve myself. Sometimes it can get a little bit overwhelming, can't it, when you're trying to think of a million different things at once to try and improve by. So a lot of the time it is just one day at a time, and what can I do today to try and improve myself? What do I need to do to get myself that one step closer, whether it be watching a tutorial or posting on Instagram. Like, all of those little things, those little steps really help in the long run, I find, and just staying consistent with it, really.
That's so good. So do you think you're learning something every day? Do you think, because you're subscribing to all these education platforms, do you think you're managing, or what does that look like? Do you get to look at something once a week?
I try to, when I've got time. At the moment, I've set myself a little goal for this week to do one class a day. So like with Connor James Maynard's education platform, I'm like, right, I'm run a bit behind, so I'm going to be doing one episode or one class every day, so that I'm keeping myself like inspired. And yeah, I probably just do that, like one day at a time, one class a day, or sometimes it's once a week. But I just always try, and when I'm feeling a bit flat, or if I'm feeling like a little bit lack motivation, I'll log onto platform, or I'll watch a class, and like just sort of, because it's hard, isn't it, when you're freelance and you're working on your own. If you're not working in a salon full of people, it's all down to you to keep that inspiration. Like, I just went and did a course with Sarah from Chalk Education. I did her 2-day colour masterclass in Portsmouth, and that was amazing. So all of those little things, it's just key to keep yourself like to where you want to go, really.
Yeah. That's such a good investment. Do you have an investment goal? Do you do anything like that, or you go on a certain amount of courses a year?
I probably would say more go on a certain amount of courses a year, so probably try and, like I said, I've got my subscriptions, but I'll try and go to at least 2 or 3 in-person classes a year because it's just so good. And also I go and assist Alex when I can when he does courses, so I just find it so good to be in a room full of like other like-minded stylists who want to like learn and improve. It's always really inspiring.
That's such a key message, Grace. Thank you so much. That's so good. I am an educator because I really, really believe in education. Like, that's why I do it. Yesterday, I was at Sophia's social media and marketing course, and I'm a member of her social media subscription group. I have done social media courses with her so many times, but every time I do it, I walk away and I'm like, oh, now I'm really re-inspired, and like now I feel like it's lit a fire under me. So it's not even like you have to do different courses all the time. Like, going over the same stuff can just be as inspiring. Do you find that?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Being in this room full of inspired people, it's so powerful. And like you say, it does just reignite that fire in your belly of like, oh my God, I love this. I want to keep doing it. I'm like ready to get back on the horse. Because sometimes we do fall off it a little bit and we get a little bit like, oh, another day. But when you do stuff like that, the course looks amazing. But when you've been to stuff like that, you're like, yeah, let's go, let's get it.
Yes, it's a constant education. That's such a key message. Thank you so much. So, what I wanted from you as well is advice for other hairdressers. So, what I was thinking, like, if someone's listening to this and they've been working behind a chair for a while, or if they're just starting out and they look at you and think, oh, Grace gets all these opportunities and she's doing all this stuff. Like, I want to do stuff like that. Like, what advice would you give them, like, of where to look for those opportunities? What sort of things, like, if you had like a what's most important to try and do, what
I would,
advice would you give?
I would say just go out and see where you can go and assist. That is honestly the biggest thing I would say. Go and assist people, get yourself out there, show people that you're willing to show up, and just show people that you're passionate about it. I think that's a really like key thing is like showing people that yeah, you want to learn and you want to do something different. And whether it's going and assisting somebody in a salon for a day because you love their work or finding a bridal stylist, just ask people. Don't be afraid to ask. Like, the worst thing that can happen is they can say no, but if you don't ask, you're never gonna know. So I think just get out there, get your get your head out and just give it a go because you're not gonna know if you don't try.
That's amazing. And you're testament to the fact that there's opportunities everywhere. Like, you can be in a little town in Devon and there's still amazing opportunities.
Yeah.
That's so good. So, what is next for you? I really want to know what you're doing next, what you've got coming up, where you see yourself going in this industry.
Oh, that's a big question. I'm kind of thinking more in like a 5-year plan. I think first off, my next goal is to buy my house and get settled. But I'm really, really want to next sort of get myself more out there and start looking at more of that colour education side of things. I'm feeling really ready to sort of once again do exactly practicing what I'm preaching, putting my neck out, asking, finding where I can go and assist and learn and just keep growing really. Also just continue to perfect my craft and my skill set. That's a really massive thing for me and keep making my clients happy. But yeah, just put myself out there more for sure.
That's so good. What's your niche then? What colour education are you going to do?
I really, really love lived in colour, whether it be balayage, blondes. That's like, it just makes me so excited. If I get a client come in and they're like, oh, I want to go a bit more blended, I'm like, bam, let's do it. Like, I'm ready for it. But that's probably my like area where I feel really excited by, to be honest. But I love all aspects of colour. I don't get loads of crazy colour clients, but when I get someone coming in wanting something like that, it's always exciting. But because I post a lot of lived in colour and blondes, balayages, that's the kind of clientele that I tend to attract. So that is also a big key part in like how I present myself on social media, is I'm attracting the clientele that I want in my chair, really.
That's such a good piece of advice. Thank you. So just go over that again. So if you want to be a lived-in colour specialist, what do you need to do on social media?
You need to post all your lived in colour, get people in. If you're not getting that many models, say if a lot of your clientele are, I don't know, root tints, things like that. Not that there's anything wrong with a root tint, we love them, but just see if you can get somebody in for a model for a content day. You can get so many pieces of content just from one client, whether it be you putting in a few foils, doing some back combing, or doing a foil pull, doing your root melt application. People love seeing the behind the scenes of that, and then also seeing the afterwork of the beautiful colour that you've created. But I would just say try and post that sort of content that you want to attract, because that will bring more clients to your page. Because I don't know about you, but I don't go anywhere without stalking their Instagram or their social media first, whether it be for my brows or facials. I'm like, I'm going to look at their page. If I like what I see, I'll book in with them. So think of it as your portfolio, because it is the biggest form of advertising that we've got, really.
That's so true. And it's free. Like, that's the bit that blows me away. Like, it's totally free advertising. So you just have to put the time in, and then, like, you'll get the results.
Yeah,
Oh, I know. It blows my mind, social media, that we have this for free.
I know.
Amazing. So, my other question that I had for you is about your values. Like, what are the kind of values that you live by? What gets you up in the morning and what motivates you to do what you do?
I think that's all down to my mum. She was always such a beautiful, bubbly person, and I just want to keep living that the way that she was, really. I'm really outdoorsy. I love going to the gym, moving my body, and I love making people happy. It's just such a good feeling when you've got somebody in your chair and making them feel good, but also connecting with people on a real level. Like, since going freelance and working in a smaller studio space, like, the conversations you have with people and the connections you have with people are just so much deeper. And like, we're human beings, we crave that connection with people. So I think getting up, and if I can make somebody's day a little bit better by giving them a nice head massage, or posting something nice on Instagram, like, yeah, I just want to try and make people happy and also look after myself. Like, if I'm not happy, then I can't make other people happy. So that's really another big thing, is like keeping yourself fit and healthy, because that's all we've got, really. And just trying to be the best that you can be, whether I'm having a bad day or not. I want to still get up and try and show up and be the best that I can be.
I love that. That's like a total, like a whole mind body sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And amazing that you managed to find that balance even with all the work you do. How do you do that? Because I know that when I started working, like owning my own salon, being self-employed, being an educator, I just felt like when you're self-employed, you get to choose your own hours, but actually you don't, because there's so many demands on your time and there's so much stuff you have to do that you just spend all your time at work. Like, how do you get that balance?
I probably don't really have that much of a balance, I'll be honest with you. I go to bed really early. I'm asleep by 10 o'clock most nights. My partner's a lorry driver, so he gets up and he's out of the house by about 4:45 in the morning. I will get up and go to the gym for about 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll do my workout, and then I'll be in the salon for 8:30, work my day, go home, edit some reels, go to bed, but I make sure that I've got that time and I really prioritize it. Because if I don't have that time of like going to the gym or walking my dog or time outside, like my head's all over the show. And I'd really also try and make an effort on the weekends to, like, I'll do a little bit of work if I need to, but I'll try and leave my phone where I can. Like, Sundays are usually the day where I'm like, right, I'm not going to do any work today. I'm going to take the dog for a nice long walk by the beach, leave my phone in the car. I turn my Instagram notifications off as well at times so that I'm not looking at work constantly. So it's just all about finding those little things for yourself, whether it be reading a book or just having time outside, like just to rebalance you, because it can get really overwhelming whether it be replying to clients or sorting out your taxes, ordering stock. Like, it's a lot, and my brain is going a million miles an hour constantly. But having those little times where I'm like, right, I'm going to switch it off now and have that break, and then you can come back to it and it doesn't feel so like overwhelming anymore.
That's such good advice. So do you have very strict days? Do you like, oh, I only do hair stuff Monday to Saturday, or like how do you control that with your diary?
So I'm in the salon Monday to Friday. My working hours, they do fluctuate a little bit. If I need to do a late night, I'll work a late night. It's one of those things, like if a client can't get in for another day, I'll be like, right, I'll squeeze you in, but I'm trying to be better with that so that I don't burn myself out. But I definitely don't work Saturdays. I haven't worked a Saturday for about, it'd be maybe 2-3 years now. So I have my weekends. So I've got the Saturday and the Sunday to just relax. I'll do a little bit of work maybe Saturday morning, whether that be posting on Instagram or replying to clients, and then I'll kind of stop for the day and then maybe do a little bit Sunday. But I don't typically try and do too much on a Sunday. That's usually my day where I'm like, right, rest, do your little bit of like recovery, and then be ready for the week ahead.
That's brilliant. And how does that work out when you're doing education and when you're assisting Alex? Like, do you still manage to do that within your set times, or is that like, well, it's just when if I'm traveling all day one day, that's fine?
As if I'm traveling all day one day, that's fine. So when we went to Bologna in March, we were traveling all day Friday, and then we got to Italy at about 9 o'clock at night on the Friday. We were out all day Saturday at Cosmoprof. We were there Sunday. Then we had this meeting with Davro. Our flight didn't go until I think it was about 9 o'clock. We flew from Luton as well. So we had about a 5-hour drive. I didn't get home till about 4:45 in the morning. And then I was back in the salon at 11:30 doing a client on the
Wow.
Monday. Yeah. So that probably wasn't my smartest of ideas, but I was fine. I had a few hours sleep, and it was just one client, so I was all right. But yeah, like in terms of education, like it's like for when I went and did Sarah's course, I drove up on the Sunday morning, was there all day Monday, drove home Monday evening, worked on Tuesday. So I think with the education and things like that, you kind of do have to like break the rules a little bit in terms of the kind of hours that you're going to do. But I'm okay with it because it's always exciting and I always leave it with a buzz, so it doesn't really feel like work, really.
That's so interesting. So I obviously went through probably a similar journey with you, because I got mentored by Sophia to becoming an educator, and you're getting mentored by Alex. And I think we look at work-life balance and we strive for work-life balance. But actually, if you really want to get somewhere in life, the graft has to come first, doesn't it? Like, you've
100%.
got to put the hours in to move the needle, and then you can get the work-life balance once you've got the success or the money, or because you're successful in your self-employed business as a hairdresser, so you can have boundaries as a hairdresser because you've got there and you've achieved what you want to achieve with that. But with the education, you're just putting the hours in, knowing that once you reach your goal, then you can get the work-life balance.
Yeah.
I love that. So tell me a bit about Cosmoprof, because I've never been. What is it like? Like, if people want to go and have wondered, like, Tell me about it.
Oh, it was amazing. It's huge, first off. Like, you think Salon International is big, Cosmoprof is like 5 times the size. It's like a combination of like hairdressing and beauty, but you just go and get to see all of these incredible brands. It's mainly more of a, I'd say it's more directed at business owners who are looking to like distribute the product, but it was just amazing. Like, we saw some incredible stuff while we were there. We went and saw this one product range, and they're starting to utilize AI to like analyze people's scalp conditions. I had my scalp analyzed, and it then pinged to my phone what products they'd recommend in that range, and down to how many follicles I had on my head and all of those sorts of things. So we got to see some really, really cool technology while we were there, and also just connect with some really like inspiring owners in the industry. Like, when we were there, the owners of Davro were there all the way from Australia. We got to connect with them for a few hours, which I think is pretty awesome, because they're such a, like, you don't really get that with brands a lot of the time, where the business owners are there. To have that like time with them was amazing, and just to go and have a little nosy at all these like different ranges, it was just so cool, and the weather was really good as well.
Oh, I think that's such a good thing actually to highlight, that if you do want to work with brands, you do have to go where the brands are. Like, you have to be visible, don't you?
Yeah,
So you've got this
definitely.
like 3-pronged approach. So you're doing your Instagram and you're visible on Instagram. You're working with Alex and he's working with the brand, so you're visible to them through that. But then you're also going over to Italy to be in a place where all the brands are.
Yes.
That's really clever. That's really clever. I love that. Did you always want to work with a brand? Was that your goal?
I think so. I wouldn't say it was like my like absolute goal from the get-go, but as I started to realize there was so many more avenues like in the industry, I was always like, how can I get in on this? I want to be a part of something, because it's just such a good feeling when you see your work posted on another brand's page, you know what I mean? Especially when you've like been able to work so closely with them. But yeah, I think it's something that kind of just fell into my lap a little bit, which I feel really like blessed to have that happen. But yeah, I think whenever my work would get reposted by like Devon or Innerlux, that was always such a good feeling. So to have like Davro like posting my work consistently is amazing.
That's so good. Do you have any tips for people who want to get reposted by brands? Is there anything that they should be doing?
Definitely. Make sure you're tagging them for one in everything, whether it be your processing pictures or your afters, and you also want to make sure like the photos and the content that you're getting is good, like in the sense of the lighting. You want to make sure that the lighting's really good. So like I say, investing in one of these has been amazing, because it's so dark here in winter. Having good natural lighting by a window, and just being consistent with it, because eventually, like, if you keep going and posting stuff, they're gonna notice. So you kind of just have to nag them a little bit and just be like, hi, I'm here, I'm using your stuff, look how good it is, and just show them what you can do, really. But just don't get disheartened as well if you keep posting and they don't interact with your work. Just keep doing it, keep being consistent.
I love that. Thank you so much, Grace. You've given so much good advice. I love it's like a how-to of working with brands and being successful, and like, you're so real with it, like the reality of what it takes to make it really in the hairdressing industry. Oh my god, you should go on Dom's podcast. Like, you are perfect for how to cut it, aren't you? So how can people find you, Grace, and how can people follow your journey?
So you can find me on my Instagram, which is graces.hair.designs. I've also got a TikTok, which is graces_hair_designs. I do need to change that a little bit. It's not that easy. But those are my 2 main platforms. Instagram is probably my biggest one that I use, because I just love it and it's good. So yeah, those are my 2 platforms that I use the most.
Amazing. And where can they find you if they want to come and get their hair done in Torquay?
You can come and find me at AW Hair in Torwood Street, and just come and give me a message. It'd be so lovely to look after you. I work one-on-one with clients, and we've got great coffee. Who doesn't want coffee?
You have got great coffee. I've had coffee in your salon. It is so good. Oh, Grace, thank you so much for talking to me. This has been so valuable. It's so good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
No, and thank you to everybody who's listened. I hope you've got tons of value. And as always, let us know if you like this podcast. Like, reach out to me and let me know. And if you have any questions for Grace, reach out to her. Thank you so much for coming on, Grace.
So much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.